Hi, I'm Arne Kalleberg. I'm the editor of Social Forces, an international journal of social research that's published by Oxford University Press. I'm in New York City today to attend the annual meetings of the American Sociological Association, and I'm joined today by Dr. Alexandra Kalev from Tel Aviv University in Israel. Israel is one of our affiliates of Social Forces. So welcome, Alexandra.
Thank you.
The theme of the meeting this year is interrogating inequality, which highlights the role of inequality in today's society. It talks about the mechanisms that have generated and so on. To what extent is this an important issue in Israel?
It is actually obviously very important, and it is an area of research that is currently in transition. So it is a very interesting time for you to ask me this question. There are many social transitions that are happening in the economy, but mostly neoliberal trends, and these are reflected in new trends in research. So we have now more research on unionization, on decline in unionization and new forms of labor organizations and how they affect pay, and not only pay but also fringe benefits, job loss risks, even health risks. And these things were not on the agenda of Israeli sociology when 85% of the workers were unionized in one big labor union. So these things are part of the decline in unionization and are affecting the research agenda. In fact, just this morning I read about a new book, edited volume of articles on the increase in precarious employment. And which is a big topic in Israel now, again, because workers are non-unionized, but these workers that work for contractors are starting to unionize now from below. But there is an increase in precarious employment, and with that comes exclusion and exploitation, and there is a lot of research on that today. Another change or expansion of the research on inequality in Israel is the increased focus on the identity groups. So we're not talking only about class, but also obviously about women, but also ethnic groups. So we have the Mizrahi Jews versus Ashkenazi, but now there is also more interest in Russians, not enough in Ethiopians, and then increasing research on religious, Orthodox religious Jews, men and women separately. So in the US, intersectionality is something that researchers need to call attention to. In Israel, it comes naturally to talk about religious women and men, and of course the national minorities, so the Palestinian men again and women separately. This increase in research interest is very interesting in my view, because it happens alongside with other societal changes. So we have, for example, now a little bit an expansion in the legal, in the political arena. We have new regulations, new equal employment opportunity regulations. We have a new equal employment opportunity commission, and they, of course, push for the employment of disadvantaged groups. We have pressure from the EU to increase the labor force utilization of the Orthodox religious men and women, who are about 80% unemployed, especially men, and to increase the utilization of Palestinian men and women. Palestinian women are only 30% labor force participation, and men even less, I think. So there are these institutional pressures and legal pressures, and also a huge amount of new NGOs, just mushrooming everywhere, that are focused on empowering disadvantaged women, not only white, not necessarily white, and helping them be incorporated into the economy. So all this is happening in the society, and alongside there is this research about it. I don't know if it is, I think all the things are influenced by the same things. I don't think that research is responsive to the field, but more to the same institutional pressures. But I think it's fascinating. These are
exciting times in Israel then for sociological research. How do sociologists in Israel get connected to the global community of scholars?
By two main ways. One is indeed reading journals. So at the entrance to our department there is a little table with recent issues of American and European journals. You come and you read, and then you think, oh, I need to download this paper. It's a very interesting paper. So reading journals, publishing in journals, and coming to meetings.
Okay. What role has social forces played in the community of scholars in Israel?
I think many roles. First, social forces has been a stage for Israeli sociologists to publish. Just a recent issue has a paper by Hadass Mendel.
Yes.
She studies. She published now. Although it's not about Israeli inequality, but you know, it's a place to publish. And also in the recent issue, you have a paper by Ofer Sharon who does a comparative research. So I mean, that's a very instrumental role, right? You publish about us and you publish us. And I think all the topics that I now mentioned, I mean, in general, Israeli stratification researchers have been publishing in social forces, and all the topics that I just mentioned are also covered by social forces. So, you know, one, for example, very, very specific contribution you had in 2007, you had a special issue, part of an issue on age.
Right.
That's rare. I mean, age doesn't get enough attention, especially not in, you know, general purpose journals, general readership journals. So that was a very important social, special issue then, and actually a research group in Israel that is now studying issues of age because of proposed changes in the pension policy. The first is again neoliberalism, so you know, reduction in pension. Because of that issue, they invited one of the authors there to come and speak on issues of ageism and discrimination at work to that research group.
What can social forces do to increase its visibility in Israel?
Well, indeed, continue and increase publication, and not only of work by Israelis that is not about Israel, but also about work about Israel. And another thing I didn't say earlier regarding development research is that now we have more qualitative research on the hardcore stratification is now a little bit opening up to alternative methods of research. So I don't know what social forces that is on about.
Yes, of course we are. Yes, yes.
Another thing is again, I mentioned that table that we have, departments have that, and just, you know, put a copy there.
Okay.
Put a printed copy of your journal.
To spread the word.
Just be there.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and you know, Israeli Sociological Society's meetings, you can, I don't know if you can have a poster, a banner, and a presence there.
Okay, okay. Well, this has been very helpful, and thank you very much for coming to talk to me.
Thank you.
Have a good trip back to Israel.
Thank you.